Welcome
Hey.
to the Effortless Swimming podcast. My guest today is Bronwen Stacey, who is based up in Noosa, up there in Queensland. And Bronwen, we sort of met each other about 2 years ago now, and you came to a clinic originally. Then you came and did one of our follow-up filming sessions after that. And I was speaking to your husband, Paul, a couple of months ago now, and he said that you'd really progressed since doing that clinic. And I thought, it'd be great to just catch up and see what you've done over that time to get some really good improvements in your swimming, because I love featuring people who I've managed to work with. And I don't get to hear often how people go after a clinic if I don't, see them that regularly. So I thought it'd be great to get you on. So first of all, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks, Brenton. Good to be here.
So you train up there in Noosa with Nick Croft in his squad there. And in the email that you sent to me, you've been doing like really consistently over the last 2 years with your swimming, like 3 times a week, nearly every week. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it was initially 2 times a week. Nick really reinforced that 3 times was going to make the difference for me. So, so I've been trying to squeeze in a third around family and work time where I can, but I've been pretty good at getting in that third session. And I think that's really helped, to be honest. My sessions tend to be a mix of a normal swim squad of probably 3.5 to 3.8 Ks in each session. And we throw in a towel squad once a week, and then there's a shorter squad as well, which is just a 1 hour session. So I'm probably doing about 9.5 to 10 Ks swimming a week.
Yeah, which is really good. Like it's a good amount of distance, I think. And explain what a towel session is. People will have heard that and gone, what's a towel session? I know I asked that question the first time that I heard of it.
I don't know if it's something that Nick just made up. Because a lot of people get confused by that, but it really what it involves is the main set involves putting a towel with a small towel with probably about 30 centimeters long of different weights, depending on how strong you are. But there's a band that links it, attaches it to your ankles. You need a pull buoy in as well to be able to swim like that. And it stops your legs from moving and it drags them down. So it's a real strength session for your arms. Well, that's the way I see it anyway. So often in our main set for a towel session, we will do at least half the set with towels on.
Yeah, big strength session. Because even a small foam, like we'd sometimes do, just like with some foam out behind us or sponges. Yeah. And it's the same thing as a sponge. It's just creating that drag, and it doesn't take much to really feel it in your arms.
Oh, it's just the lightest towel. It really, I find it a really good challenge. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But it definitely gets me strong. And that's probably something I've needed to work on particularly as well. I don't have a lot of upper body strength, so it's really helped with that.
Take me back 2 or 3 years ago. So when you first sort of took up swimming or maybe got back into it, I'm not sure, but you originally sort of got into it for your bronze medallion. Is that correct?
No, well, sort of. I've never really been a swimmer. I think maybe in primary school, I was doing some squads and then I lost complete interest in it and avoided it ever since then. I think 2018 at the start of the year, friends of mine said, look, we're going to put a team in for the Noosa Tri. You can do the swim. And I said, I actually don't think you understand. I'm not a swimmer. They said, we'll just train and we'll just, let's just see how we go. So that was really the start for me for swimming. And I needed fins for the whole set to really even complete it. And at that point I was swimming probably 220 per 100. Nick tells me. So it was tough going for me at the start. And Nick was really hard on me and saying, you've got to be consistent with this if you want to get better. So throughout that time, I thought, I'll get better and then I'll do my bronze certificate. Why not? I must be getting good at this. And I actually didn't quite make the cutoff initially when I first went and did the proficiency.
Which is 400 meters in 9 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah. I think I was like 9.5, 10. So I did manage within the 6 weeks of the bronze course by the end of it, I shaved the time off to get that 400 swim in about 8:45 or 8:50. So just enough to get me through, which was good. And then I just continued on training for the Noosa Tri throughout that year. That first year was hard. It was a really tough swim, and the conditions were not good. For that 2018 try, a lot of people might remember, it was like northerlies. And if you're not a confident swimmer, it was awful, absolutely awful. But I did it. I breaststroked mainly the whole way, and did it in 37 minutes or something. So that's when I thought, right, it's probably a good idea to get onto one of your courses and get some technique going.
Which was in 2020, I think.
Was that 2020 or 2019? Yeah, maybe it was 2020.
So I think it was January or February 2020, just before, all the lockdowns and stuff. I'd like to look back at the date. So sorry, continue.
So well, then I had a year of training, a bit more consistently again, and then working on that. 2019, I did the first try, the Noosa Tri, as a full try by myself. So I managed to get that swim in and do freestyle this time the whole way, probably in about 32 minutes or something, I think it was. Yeah, so there was a big improvement there for me from that point. And I and then subsequent to that, it probably wasn't too long after that I did your course.
Yeah, nice. And I mean, just like a spoiler alert for people. So in terms of where you're at now, you sort of mentioned you're pretty consistently in the low 130s if you're doing repeat hundreds in training, and your 400 time trials down to, was it six something?
640 was my last one, September, October. Yeah, I do have to caveat all of this though, that I do wear the core shorts for pretty much everything except racing. So, you've got to probably add on a little bit of time to that if you were to drag those shorts off me. Yeah.
And look, I mean, I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I get asked it fairly regularly, like, what are your thoughts on the core shorts? And the purest swim coach would say, take them off. It's like, it's not sort of normal swimming, and you'll be able to teach yourself better body position and stuff without them. But I'd say for, most people like yourself, wear them. It's a lot more fun. It's like you got a pool boy in all the time, and times are faster. And it's like, go for it. I think, my answer would have been different 15 years ago when I started, 13 years ago when I started coaching. But now sort of having worked with so many triathletes and adults, just like, go for it. It's a lot more fun.
I love that advice. I'm going to tell Nick that. I think they get me to squad. Without them, I probably wouldn't be doing the amount that I do in each week. So it's a mental thing for me.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, you're probably so much better off as a swimmer because you're looking forward to squad because of what they're doing for you. So.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely, without a doubt.
So looking back at, say, when you had to do breaststroke for that first Noosa swim, where you're at now, like, did you ever think that you'd get to this point now where you're doing it so often, sounds like you're enjoying it, and you're swimming the pace that you're at now?
Back then, if you'd have told me that I would be doing that now, no, I wouldn't have believed it. I found it hard, and it was a real struggle to get, initially for me to get to the pool. Because, at the beginning, it's really hard work when you're trying to get on top of something new. My arms weren't working, probably my legs, it wasn't coming together whatsoever. But there's a lot of reward in sticking with something, whatever that may be. In this case, it's the swimming, and just plugging away. And I think for swimming, results aren't immediately, you don't get those results really quickly. It's what I've learned is that it just takes a lot of time. And you probably, I don't even notice improvements really unless Nick yells out my times, and they're a bit lower than what I'm used to. So it still feels a challenge, but it's an easier challenge. and I feel much more comfortable in the water. I think your course was great because it gave me a lot to focus, just those 3 or 4 things to focus on and get right, and make it not feel as hard in the water as it did.
Yeah. So can you remember if there are any takeaways or things that you're able to take on board after the clinic that you perhaps didn't know going into it?
There were a lot of, that I still reflect back on the YMCA drills often, and where my arms should be. I still have a bit of work to do on that. I think that was a really, that was a really good process that we followed through that course. I think you were talking to me about having that front quadrant, my arms in the front quadrant. That's something I still have to keep working on, but I'm better at it, I think. Those were some of the key takeouts I saw.
Yeah, that's good. And thinking back to what you were doing with your arms before, did you have not have much of an idea of where they should be in the different parts of the stroke, and this just gave you some guidance on where the hands and the arms should be going?
Absolutely. All of those things, like even just, those angles of where your hands should be entering the water, what position they should be, that, 11 and 1 or 10 and 2 kind of location, and how they should be moving through the water once you get to the catch and follow through.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea. No one really teaches you those things as an adult. You go to squad and you just have to, you just do what you think is right. And there's not always the time to focus on technique.
Yeah.
I found.
Oh, exactly. And I look back at when I was coaching squad for 8 or 9 years, it's like I'd try and teach a little bit of technique here and there, but oftentimes people I was coaching a master squad and they just want to get there, have a good workout and go home. Some certainly wanted to improve and wanted to focus on technique, but often at those sessions, they just wanted the workout. And so, And so, I mean, that's why I run the clinics and focus just on technique, and it's 3.5 hours, there's 6 people. So, and it kind of takes that long to cover everything. And we could certainly cover a lot more, but your brain can only take in so much at one time.
Yeah. And I think, it was really good to have those 3 takeouts that you give, and we focus on those. And then I think I checked back in with you a year later when you were up here to make sure that I was sort of on track.
Yeah. And we did the follow-up filming, and for those listening, when you do a clinic, you can come and get filmed again, and I'll compare it to your previous video and just see what's changed. Then we look at what to work on there. And everyone's different with that. Some people have made big changes. Some people have changed a little bit. And I think it's just good to sort of see, just to have that checkup again. I'm trying to make these changes. Am I doing it enough? And if people haven't quite got to that ideal position, it's often because they've just changed things a little bit and they need to really exaggerate it. And I was in Perth on the weekend for clinics, and like so many people realize when they come to clinics, if they have to make a change, sometimes it's got to feel so extreme and so just awkward or different for it to actually make a difference. Did you sort of find that with anything in your stroke?
Absolutely. I was chatting to Nick before this podcast just to say, what are his observations? And he said that front quadrant, I still need to work on that. So I was really trying hard yesterday at squad. And I said to him, it feels so uncomfortable. I just, and he said, it's just going to take time to get that right. So, there's always something to keep working on.
Yeah, it never ends. That's right.
And you have to have that mentality that it's okay. There's always a little bit more, and you will never get that it's difficult to get that perfect stroke.
Yeah, and I think that's what keeps it interesting too. If
you
come to a clinic and you're swimming, it'd be great if you're swimming like Michael Phelps after a clinic, but it's but there's always having something that you can improve. And so in terms of the front quadrant at the moment, is it that the lead arm out in front is just dropping down a bit soon?
A bit soon, yeah. So I know I need to work on that because it affects buoyancy and affects streamlining and probably efficiency, perhaps as well. Because I think I'm compensating by, trying to move my arms a bit quicker through, and that's probably not efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's I was working with a swimmer a few weeks ago, and one of the ways that we were able to get her in that front quadrant and get the timing, there was two things. So the first one was we had her watch a video of a swimmer that she wanted to swim like, and had her try and just model that stroke. And I think it's really good to be able to visualize yourself swimming like someone else, because it's much easier. Well, it's just easier to kind of replicate it that way if you're sort of watching someone swim. And the other way was like we use the term soft hands. So it's good to have a little bit of a slight gap between the fingers, and just relax the hands and forearms, because I find in the recovery, so over the top of the water, if you're relaxed there and you've got soft hands and you follow that through to the reach and out in front, it's much easier to keep it out there. Sometimes people are quite tense and the arm just wants to keep going if it's tense. So I find that soft hands cue can work quite well for that front quadrant timing.
Yeah. I have to work on it. I mean, I think I do struggle sometimes with in a squad situation when we're doing main sets and we've got to move and we've got to really push it. There's a sense of panic that rises in me that I think, I've just got to keep, work as hard as I can. Whereas I don't, I probably need to relax to get faster. Which is probably what you're saying.
Yeah, it's always part of the challenge, isn't it? To try and stay relaxed as you're trying to get faster. I had a client email me two weeks ago, and she had a half Ironman swim maybe 3 weeks ago, and she just wanted to basically make it feel really comfortable, and so she relaxed completely, wasn't worried about the time, and she ended up swimming like 10 or 15 seconds faster than her previous time because she was so relaxed.
There you go.
and I think now it's just a matter of, all right, so if we can now just put in a little bit more effort while still keeping that same sort of feeling, it's like that'll be the sweet spot. But it's great if you can swim a PB when you're not thinking about time.
Right. That's perfect. I will aim for that. That'd be nice to get to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be the case for everyone, but I think it's a good thing to keep in mind, because I know, like for me as well, when if I've got someone next to me, I'm trying to race them, it's so easy just to try and like want to match them at the start, and my heart rate goes up too high. Or when I used to wear a Garmin watch, I'd just be trying to beat the time.
Yes.
Yeah, there.
Yes, there's a bit of that going on as well.
Yeah, it's now I'll occasionally wear the form goggles, and I find that I'm better that way, because then I'm making sure I'm not going out too hard, because you'll get your 25 or your 50 split, and I can make sure I'm actually going at the right pace rather than a second or two too quick in that first one, and then I'll blow up. So yeah, it's a little bit different when I can see it at the time.
My husband Paul bought me a pair of those, and I've got to get the hang of them. So it's just reminded me. He keeps asking me if I've been wearing them, and I will. Now you've said that, I will definitely make sure I do.
see if you feel a difference in between like the pressure of trying to get a good time by looking at your watch at the end compared to just knowing where you're at in terms of the splits.
Yeah,
that's the biggest difference for me, I've found with that.
I will. Yeah, because I just don't know. And so if I have to lead it as a main set, I will think, shit, I've got to really motor. And my pacing goes all out the window because I'm trying not to hold anyone back from, who's behind me, and get to the right pace. So that the goggles will help.
The pressure is real, isn't it? When you've got people on your feet.
I hate it. That's why I like being last. I think everyone teases me because I just push to be at the back of the lane always.
Yeah, that's it.
For that reason.
And what, thinking of your swimming, what is it that you really enjoy about it now? What do you get a kick out of?
What is it? It's I love that as a form of fitness now. Really, I enjoy it. I feel comfortable doing it. I find I've had a good workout at the end of a session. And the people that go as well. I've formed some good friendships with the people who are part of the squad. So there's that outside swimming element that I enjoy about it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I've trained with Nick a couple of times when I'm up there, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great group of people. Nick's awesome, and it's just it's just a really good group to be a part of. And I mean, the fact you get to do it up in Noosa as well is a bonus.
Yeah, you know, it was funny. We were just talking about COVID before this podcast, and you know, when COVID hit up here, the pools shut as they did around everywhere, as you were talking about. But you know, we quickly realigned, and we were running, you know, squads in the ocean. We got to spend COVID swimming in the ocean up here, which was pretty amazing. You know, so it was a great testament to Nick and how he runs, you know, how he was able to change his approach, but also that we could still swim throughout that challenging time.
And there's not many better places than Noosa, I think, for open water swimming. It's perfect up there.
Living the dream.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bronwen, I appreciate you being on the podcast. It's really enjoyed chatting, and just great to hear how far you've come with your swimming. And looking from the outside, I think it seems like a combination of the consistency. You just cannot put anything past the consistency and doing the right thing in training, and hopefully a combination of technique and focusing on that along the way. Like those two things are a huge part of it. It's like 80 or 90% of, I think, what makes people improve, and you've sort of hit those two on the head, which is unreal.
Yeah, I think there's, you know, I mean, just back to that consistency, there's always conflicting and challenging challenges to your time, you know, to your available time. But if you can make that time and work around family or work or those other things going on, it is worth it. You know, you see the results, but it takes a while to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think of the good thing about swimming is you can often do it in the mornings, and so you can kind of set your day up really well. Yeah. And when I'm busy, if I can squeeze that swim in the morning, I get more done, and, you know, better person to be around and all that sort of stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's something special about being in the water, I think, for sure.
Yeah, totally agree. And before we go, any sort of final thoughts or anything you'd like to leave the audience with, if they're listening and would like to see the same sort of improvements that you've had?
No, I think you've summarized it. I think, you know, that consistency, the focus on technique, and really thinking about technique, and also probably having a really good coach to support that technique and drive you as well, if you're not necessarily self-motivated or need some help, because you know, kudos to Nick in pushing me to keep going as well. It is driven partly by myself, but he also makes sure if I don't show up to something, then you know, he's on my back. And you know, I think that is another important part of the equation.
Yeah, absolutely. To and to have someone who, like, I think back to when, like I grew up swimming with my dad as my coach. And so I was always going to training unless I was sick or something. So there was no question whether I'd be there or not, because he was going to have to be there coaching.
Yeah, that's right.
But after that, it's like the other squads I've done, it's the coaches who have like jokingly kind of got stuck into me about, where have you been the last week or two? And it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I should be more consistent. Like it's a good thing when people keep you accountable, even if they giving you a little bit of a hard time in a good way. It's the right thing.
Yeah, that's right. It can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but he gets results, and he gets, you know, I know I can't get away with anything.
Yeah, it's good. Well, Bronwen, thanks so much for being on the podcast, and I'm sure I'll see you sometime in the next couple of months when I'm up there next.
Thanks for your session, and thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks, Bronwen.
All right.